Wiem. No. O,
they haven't played it. They don't know what they're talking about. And if anything, they...
Welcome back to the next wave. Team Liquid search for the next TL superstar. By the end of today's
probably, if they even touched it, played it for a couple of hours, realized it wasn't old school Assassin's Creed, and then dismissed it, which is a total blunder, because if you do that, you're missing out on one of the best and most technologically, graphically, and narratively impressive RPGs, adventure RPGs specifically, of the last 5 years. And I really mean that. There's a reason this game was nominated for Game of the Year. People forget, but this game was put into the same category as Red Dead Redemption 2 and God of War 2018. That's how good critics who tried to keep a level head thought this game was. It was in the same category as those games. Obviously, it didn't beat them. They won some Game of the Year awards from some publications, but still, that's very, very impressive. A Ubisoft game nominated for Game of the Year? When else has that happened? Like, ever. The unfortunate reality, though, oh, look at that, the whales right there. I love it. The unfortunate reality is that I think this game sold very well. It did very well, but Ubisoft seems incapable of grasping why one game is successful and others are not successful. So, Unity had problems, most of them technological, related to management, right? That's par for the course. Origins was pretty well received after Syndicate came out. It was a reinvention. It did pretty well by all accounts. Then Odyssey comes out. It's really well received, sells very well, is very popular. People love it even if it's not like standard Assassin's Creed. Then we get Valhalla, which is just an unfocused mess where they looked at Odyssey and said people liked Odyssey. Odyssey was big, therefore let's just make everything bigger. And that was the whole design philosophy. Just go more and more and more. We'll have the game be 115 hours. It'll take like a month and a half for anybody to finish playing it 5 hours a day. Let's just do that. And they just totally missed the point of what made Odyssey special, which is that this game has narratives tied to every single side quest. Some of the side quests in here are so memorable, I made dedicated videos on them that have done millions of views. If you've been following this channel for any length of time, you probably know what I'm talking about, which is the Something Incredible video that I did on Assassin's Creed Odyssey back in the day. It was also very successful because it was fresh and new and introduced different ideas. It was a setting that was well thought out and justified, and the systems that are at play here are all pretty well thought out and work well together. Not only are there naval systems and combat systems and dialogue systems and branching narratives and decision trees and all that, but there's also political and faction systems where you can take, as you see on the right side, certain areas and align them to different political groups, such as the Spartan leadership or the Athenian leadership. Based on who you side with, these different regions can have little skirmishes and fights based on the outlines you see on screen, and that can lead to different side quests being available, all sorts of things. It's amazing. It's also one of those things that I'm baffled they stripped out of Valhalla, because Valhalla, I've said it in the critique, you could have, in Valhalla, given us the map of England and had Viking skirmishes between different Viking tribes, which they kind of hinted at narratively, though we never really get to experience it, other than like very narrow chunks of like certain main story quests that are over as quickly as they begin. But you could have had regions on the map, just like this, but in England, where certain areas are controlled by different groups of Vikings, and then you fight it out between your clan and others, and then see who can take over England. And maybe every once in a while there's uprisings, and then you gotta go stamp them down. It's such an obvious system to include in Valhalla, but they just stripped it out for no reason. Like, this was a good addition. This was really cool. Oh, it's weakened. Oh, it's fortified there, so I've got to go target leadership in that area if I want to take them on. Okay, I got to go do these quests, kill the captain in the leadership house, and then I got to go over here and perform an assassination, and I got to do these things to weaken the political standing of the people at that location. It's a cool system, and they just totally stripped it out of the series. It's so bizarre. But it's not the only time they've done this. They stripped out the parkour system, of course, and the free running from Unity to Syndicate to Origins to Odyssey, where now in Odyssey, the free running is basically run at wall, climb up wall, or jump off wall. Like, that's it. There's no depth, there's no finesse anymore. I mean, once again, to reiterate, it just goes to show Assassin's Creed is not Assassin's Creed anymore. These games are open world adventure action RPGs. That's what they are. So as much of a fan as I was of Assassin's Creed 2 and 3 and the original like Ezio trilogy in general across the board, those games just don't fly nowadays. They just wouldn't sell well. They wouldn't be received very well. These are the games people want, and these are the games people buy. So Ubisoft tried to do it with Odyssey, and honestly, they did a damn good job, and they deserve credit for it, because what they have here is really impressive. Now, I mentioned earlier that there's some things that Odyssey does which are just bafflingly impressive to me that I think really deserve a lot of credit that not many people talk about when they refer to Odyssey, because they usually just point at the easy things of Ubisoft game, paid cosmetics, big game, much content, not good, and it's almost unintelligible at all. But I do want to call it something I really do think is impressive. And if you think it's not impressive, let me know in the comments. I'll reevaluate if I feel like you're making a good point, but I really think that this deserves some praise. Now for this, I'm actually going to use a YouTube clip just because this particular quest line is like 5 to 6 hours into the game, and I just honestly don't think I need to go through 6 hours of the game just to show you this cutscene that I can show you with the video. So today we're going to use the help of Chang Plays, which is a YouTuber. He did a really good job compiling this. I'm assuming it's a he. I'm sorry, I assumed. Maybe you're not a he. I don't know. Anyway, Chang did a great job of compiling this footage, and I want to show you this. So this is a quest line called The Blood Fever, early on in the game, specifically on Kefalonia. And basically what happens is there's a plague going through this small little village. And as you can see, they've got a family with children tied up, and they're saying that there's a sickness present. Basically what's going on is there's a plague going through the village. They've had to execute pretty much everybody. This family are some of the last people standing. And the only way that they can eliminate the plague confidently is by also executing this family, burning the bodies, and just playing it safe. They're sick. They gotta, the sick must join the dead if they are to save the living. He's right. Here you're given the choice. You can choose to step in and kill the guys that want to kill the family and let the family go free. Your little sister's like character, Phoebe, she's super appreciative of this, and you get some brownie points with her. Or you can let them execute the family, go about your day, and just tell Phoebe, life's tough sometimes. They were sick, and it was a tough thing, but it had to be done. What happens later is as you are sailing, well, let me see if he's got footage of it. Okay, this is from another YouTuber named Jason's Video Game Source, and he goes back to Kefalonia after making that choice to let the family live and to kill the guys that were going to kill the family. And what you discover when you return is that the whole place, the entire island, is covered in these piles of bodies, burning bodies. The color has changed. It's dark and it's bland. Everybody's sick and packing. Effectively, you choosing to let that family live allowed the plague to spread to the rest of the island, and now everybody on the island is dying. Your previously colorful, vibrant island home is now overridden with the plague and is downright disgusting and horrible. And it's all because of that one choice you made in that small quest. And it's not even something you would notice if you didn't return to the island later. But because you do return to the island,
Zbrodnie przyszłości w kinach.
and you see this consequence of your actions. And that's impressive. Not many RPGs have conclusive consequence for your actions in side quests, full stop. Much less consequences for actions in side quests that you don't even necessarily have to see. They are only present if you go looking and seeking that validation to see what actually happened after that choice was made. In this case, we didn't have to return to this area and see what happened, but we did, and now we see it. And it's made all the more impressive when you look at the game's map. Because again, Kefalonia is over here. The island falls apart if you let that family live, but you've moved on to all of this. Started exploring all these other islands. It's very likely a lot of players won't ever return to Kefalonia once they leave it, because there's so much other content out there. So I would bet you there's a lot of players who made that choice to allow the family to live that never found out or realized that that caused the entire island to become overridden with the plague. That's impressive, and that shows a confidence in Ubisoft's design philosophy that we just don't really see. My biggest critique of Ubisoft across the board in their game design philosophy is that they hold the player's hand way too much. They don't trust the player to figure things out on their own, and so instead they go and they actively hold their hand with everything that they do. Tons of mini markers, tons of things on the heads-up display to tell you where to go and what to do next. Tons of little dialogue trees telling you how to solve puzzles as you're in the puzzle itself. Things like that. They just don't trust the player enough. But for something like this, there's a conclusive, quantifiable consequence to your actions. And you don't even have to see it, because they're confident if you go seeking that answer out, you will find it. And when you find it, of your own accord, it will be far more impactful and impressive. And it's something I wish they would return to, and I hope in the next Assassin's Creed game we see them do more of this, because this is what separates amazing open world and RPG design from mediocre open world RPG design. It's that confidence to let the player discover things for themselves, and trusting that they will do it and that they will be thankful that you gave them the freedom to do it in their own way. It's what separates Rockstar and Red Dead Redemption 2 from every other AA and AAA attempt at an open world game. It's impressive and it deserves credit. So if it's not clear enough, I really like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I think this game doesn't get enough love. I think it is a triumph in a lot of ways, and I think you should play it. Not to mention on console, it recently got a 60 FPS patch on Xbox and I believe PS5 as well. So go try it at 60 FPS if you haven't. It's remarkable. It really is. I would say the DLC is a lot less impressive, especially the Atlantis bit I thought was just boring as hell. But the core game is freakishly impressive, and you can play it and it will be some of the leanest, most impressive 80 hours of Ubisoft gameplay you've probably ever enjoyed. It's really remarkable. But I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos like this made on the channel, make sure to hit the like button so I know that you enjoy them, and leave a comment with a suggestion of what game I should tackle next. I'm always open to suggestions. Also, as I said earlier, I stream over on Twitch, so make sure to check out the link tree in the description box below the like button so you can jump over there and say hi. I stream a lot now. I was able to recently, thanks to you guys' support, help my wife leave her job so that she can stay at home with baby and pursue her passions elsewhere, not in a trampoline park where she was managing. So thank you all for supporting me enough so that she could do that and get out of a job she really just did not like. And now that means that I can stream a lot more, and that's what we're doing. So pop over on Twitch. I try to stream every time we put a video up live, so if you're watching this right around the time it's published, come by, say hi. I'd love to see you. But with that, I'm gonna leave it there. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.
Jogę dla początkujących masz już opanowaną, więc czas przejść do zaawansowanych pozycji. Ćwicz z filmami bez reklam. Wypróbuj bezpłatnie przez 2 miesiące.
What is Outplay? You play and it records. You can choose exactly what you want it to record.
So it's no mystery, I'm a big fan of Assassin's Creed games. I have been since I was but a wee child, and as a result, I've been through multiple epochs of the franchise. The early days when everything was stealth-focused, and then they introduced these sort of social systems with Assassin's Creed 3 and Black Flag, and then we went into the sort of re-renaissance with Unity and Syndicate, where they tried to bring fresh perspectives to an old formula, but it didn't really work. And then the modern era of Assassin's Creed, which of course is relegated to Assassin's Creed Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, some of which I appreciate, some of which I even think are impressive, and then others, namely Valhalla, I consider to be absolute travesties. I've played all these games and I have some firm opinions on them, And today I figured it might be interesting if we talk about what the future of Assassin's Creed actually holds, because there's been a ton of rumors going around from YouTubers, from journalists, from nobodies on 4chan, all of which assert that they know what the future of the franchise holds and where they're going, what systems are going to be implemented, blah, blah, blah. So I want to clear the slate and just talk about what we know, what's been pretty much verified at this point, and potentially what we would like to see in the future entries for Assassin's Creed. Because I actually think that it's very reasonable to hold a very optimistic position within Assassin's Creed fandom right now, specifically because of some of the stuff Ubisoft has been doing recently that not many people seem to be aware of. So make sure to watch to the end of the video, because I think I might be able to convince you that things are not as dire as they may seem. But we're going to jump into it, but first I want to say a thank you to a very special company that helps deck out the studio every once in a while and is very, very supportive. And of course, I'm talking about Secret Lab. Now, over the last couple of minutes, I've kept it a little hidden with my body, but I actually am sitting on the brand new Secret Lab Assassin's Creed Titan awesome Rolls Royce of gaming chairs. We were actually streaming earlier today over on our Twitch channel. You should follow and check us out over there, by the way. I'm streaming when this video goes live, so come and say hi. But that being said, we were streaming. I got a call from my wife and she was like, Luke, baby, there's a FedEx delivery man outside who is really struggling to lug a gigantic package to our front door, and he keeps saying that he's not supposed to be carrying packages this heavy by himself. He's supposed to have another teammate, but they called out and he really needs help. So could you come and help him get the package up to the front door? And I said, yeah. So we paused the stream. I ran upstairs, grabbed the box, lugged it all the way down here, and we spent like an hour on stream opening the box and building the chair. And it was a bit of a surprise, but I'm very, very impressed and very thankful. The quality is top notch. I've been using Secret Lab chairs for a while. I'm always impressed by them. They really are the Rolls Royce of gaming chairs. But they've also made some like actual improvements. This isn't just a reskin of a brand. There's actual quality materials used here. Everything is embroidered in here and sewn in, so it's not like a lazy stencil you'll see from other brands. This is quality stuff that's going to be here forever. Not to mention they've done other things, like you can just pop off the armrests because they attach magnetically, and just pop them back on if you need to clean them, if you need to replace them with softer armrests or smaller ones or bigger ones, whatever you need, you can just customize them. It's great. I don't know why they weren't doing this before. And probably my favorite little addition and change is with the headrest, because you see normally headrests need a strap. You notice this one doesn't have a strap. That's because it's just got magnets in the back. And so like if you want the headrest, boop, you just put it on. Like, how brilliant is that? Why is no one doing this? It's brilliant. I love it. And being an Assassin's Creed fan, I love all of the custom embroidered emblems on the back, which reflect every mainline entry in Assassin's Creed. Helps me represent Assassin's Creed fandom, and I really appreciate it. So thank you, Secret Lab. If you want to check it out, go to secretlab.co. See all of the offerings they have. They not just have this special edition Assassin's Creed chair, but they also have much more sleek or minimalistic designs or designs from other major franchises that they've partnered up on. So go check it out. Well worth your time. But with that said, let's get into the body of the video. Now, my infatuation with Assassin's Creed started back with Assassin's Creed 2. And I'm sure that's also true of many of you guys, because this is the first entry in Assassin's Creed which really took an interesting idea that we had in the first game and amplified it to something that was really remarkable. And many people consider this to be the greatest game Ubisoft has ever made, because it was groundbreaking at the time, it was beautiful at the time, and for 2009, it was also extremely impressive in terms of gameplay offerings, scope, everything. No matter what you point at with Assassin's Creed 2, at the time that this launched, it was a triumph. Now, I know it may seem surprising to hear that Assassin's Creed was previously like a critically acclaimed franchise, because nowadays we think of it kind of in line with FIFA or Madden. It's just a game that's commonly used to cash in and get quick paychecks for Ubisoft. But these games really were groundbreaking at the time, and I think it's important to remember that, because there's nothing that's preventing Ubisoft from reclaiming that status now. It's just a matter of what they're willing to do in terms of design, whether or not they're willing to compromise on their desire to just maximize potential for microtransactions and that type of thing. But there's no reason that Ubisoft, with their massive budgets, couldn't pull off a game that blows critics away nowadays. Now, when we ask ourselves what made Assassin's Creed 2 really great and what Ubisoft of 2022 could learn from this game, I think it's a few things. For one, it's a collection of historical and recreated cities. Sure, they're not necessarily historically accurate in their recreation, but in terms of theming, art style, and everything else, they tried to be fairly accurate to the time. There are like sci-fi elements, but there's nothing extremely magical like we would see in this series today. And in general, it tries to be relatively respectful to the source material and the time period that it's set in, which is not something that I would say Ubisoft has had as a high priority in the last few years. I mean, like in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we have entire sections where you're just running around fighting Smurfs in, granted, like mythological realms, but still, this is not something you saw in Assassin's Creed 2, even if it made sense within like a hallucination / dream realm. Players still feel as though you are using this as an excuse to put like magic and fantasy elements in your game. Doesn't matter if it's technically explained away, it still just feels like you're doing a fantasy game within an attempted grounded historical game. And that doesn't work very well together. It causes a lot of players to feel like their heads are just butting, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I feel this is something important to mention, because just because you can explain away something in your game or your story, novel, movie, whatever, doesn't mean that the audience is going to feel as though it's justified. There's two different things going on there. Because in this case, you can drink tea, trip balls, feel like you're going to Asgard, and then fight all of these mythological characters there. And yeah, technically it's explained in the story, and it's justified in the story, but in terms of justified within the game itself and the broader narrative, it feels out of place. And it feels as though it doesn't belong in an Assassin's Creed game. And that's what people have a problem with. Just because you can come up with an excuse to go to Asgard doesn't mean that you should. So I would say pretty confidently, I think for the next Assassin's Creed game, they should return to form and try to eliminate as much unnecessary magic as they can, because I don't think it actually adds anything. I think it actively detracts from players' immersion, and more importantly, I just don't think they need it. I think the game can be very compelling without magic, and when you add magic, it just creates more complications and more things could potentially go wrong. Like, I love me a good fantasy game, but I don't play Assassin's Creed for the fantasy. I play it for the historical settings, the more grounded gameplay. And in the last few years, we just haven't seen really any of that, so I'd like to see that return. But as we said, the setting is very important too. Assassin's Creed 2 had all sorts of small cities, and then they had Venice, and all of these very recognizable locations that were fun to explore, were beautiful in their own right, and were massive and varied. And more importantly, I think on top of all of that, they allowed for you to engage in the free running system, which Assassin's Creed in many ways pioneered. So what are possible settings that Ubisoft could go to with a future Assassin's Creed entry that would work well for both historical interest and then also gameplay variety, the ability to free run and explore so that it's interesting to explore? What are good potential options? We've heard talk of a game coming later this year set in Baghdad where we'll be playing as Basim from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and that seems to be generally agreed upon. I've heard from people that I've talked to that work at Ubisoft that that's currently the plan for the next entry, and then Assassin's Creed Infinity is coming later, which we'll touch on in just a moment. But recently there's even been other options thrown out as possible locations, specifically when it came to this tweet from ACG. If you don't know Carrick from ACG or Jeremy, he's a tremendous guy. Go check out his reviews. He is fantastic. But he actually tweeted out on July 12th recently that the next AC game will be Aztecs. And immediately, like within a few hours, a ton of websites took his tweet and started writing articles explaining how this was definitely going to happen, or it was interesting that it could happen. And it just goes to show you how many of these websites are craving news on Assassin's Creed, but there just hasn't really been much. So the second a YouTuber makes a tweet that potentially suggests something new, like everybody jumps on it. But it is important to note that this is an outlier. Not many people agree with ACG's tweet here. Just because it's in a tweet and from a YouTuber doesn't necessarily mean that it's the case. And when this was posted to Reddit, actually, Jason Schreier, who many of you will know, he works at Bloomberg, he's a very well-known games journalist, and he has a very, very good track record. He said, next game is Rift, set in Baghdad, you'll play as Basim, blah, blah, blah. He has an entire article on Bloomberg explaining how that game will work and what it looks like. We'll touch on that in just a moment. But he said after that will be AC Infinity, and while that's going to include a bunch of different games, experiences, biomes, whatever you want to call them, I've heard that the main two, I've heard about the main two, and neither of them are Aztec settings. So right there, out of the horse's mouth, Jason Schreier seems to confirm that the Aztec setting, it doesn't seem like there's much credibility. Now, real quick, I think I should touch on what exactly Assassin's Creed Infinity is supposed to be, because I think a lot of people have heard this thrown out and haven't actually thought about what it means for the franchise, for Ubisoft in general, and all of the possible implications. People throw it out all the time, but never really ask, wait, what are we actually talking about here? So first things first, it is allegedly an Assassin's Creed game built similar to a game like Destiny or The Elder Scrolls Online or pretty much any other major MMO that you can think of. Basically, there will be a hub that you purchase or that is for free on Uplay or whatever it's called this week. And then within that overarching Assassin's Creed Infinity dome, we have a ton of different little experiences, and by little I mean probably 30 to 50 hours of content, which would be sold as basically standalone games, but in the form of an expansion. So in effect, you would have one character or one assassin that you built for Assassin's Creed Infinity, and then as expansions are released, it could be one expansion set in France, and then the next one is set in World War I London, then the next expansion is in China, then the next one is in Japan, and you're playing through different quest lines and stories every time that you go there, until eventually we'll have an Assassin's Creed Infinity that's like 10 different locations spanning all of human history, and you can just pop into whichever one you want pretty much instant. It's an interesting idea, and I don't necessarily have a problem with a huge, large-scale Assassin's Creed game. Where people get concerned is because this is going to be a live service game. Again, look at any other live service, MMO, RPG, or action game with online elements like this. Usually it results in money grubbing and extremely greedy business practices with like pay-to-win mechanics. I mean, just look at Warzone. That tells you everything you need. So people are naturally worried that Assassin's Creed is going to go down this route, and I am also concerned about it, but there are a lot of question marks that remain, specifically whether or not there will be a standalone title released in between expansions or separate from the expansions. I mean, think of it like Fallout 76 exists and is the online Fallout game, but then we also would get like Fallout 5. Would we still get Fallout 5, Fallout New Vegas 2? Like, would we get spin-off Fallout games once we have the online game, or is the online game going to consume everything? And this is the thing that not many people seem to know. Like, we've heard rumors from Jeff Grubb in the last week or so that suggests that there is an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan that's currently in the works. Here we have a fan-made trailer in Unreal Engine 5 of an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan. You can see it looks tremendous. It's from Teaser Plays. I highly recommend all of their stuff. It's really well done. Just look at this. So it does seem like we are getting like a Japanese Assassin's Creed game, but that this is one of the games within Assassin's Creed Infinity that will be released as it's like expansion or a different area or zone or map that you can go to. It's just really hard to tell what Ubisoft is trying to do here because nobody really knows, and by all accounts, it doesn't seem like Ubisoft even knows right now what they're doing or where they're going with Assassin's Creed Infinity. It just seems like, okay, we'll just make like a huge Assassin's Creed universe, and then we'll figure out how to make it fun, and we'll make lots of money from it, I'm sure. So we'll just start working on it, and then we'll figure out the details later. Because spoiler alert, I've talked to people within Ubisoft, as have a bunch of gaming journalists and other YouTubers, and many of them have said the same thing, which is basically that Ubisoft is still working out how a lot of the minutia of Assassin's Creed Infinity will actually function. Which brings me to a point of optimism, the point that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. You see, going back to Assassin's Creed Rift, which is the rumored game set in Baghdad where you play as Basim, that game is scheduled to release sometime either by the end of this year or early next year. And most notably, that game is supposed to focus on old school gameplay mechanics and systems that longtime fans of the games will greatly appreciate being added. Basically, it will be a return to stealth and a more classical way of building these games, which is really interesting. Now, ask yourself why Ubisoft would be willing to go back on a lot of the progress in their minds that they've made in recent years. They built all of this stuff for Valhalla, for Origins, for Odyssey. Why would they go back and release a game in the franchise that, in their minds, is stepping back like a decade, that is simplified, that has stealth, social stealth, complicated free running with lots of finesse and flair, and then also more compelling stories that don't try to go so huge, but rather focus on more tight and interesting storylines. Now, to me, it actually makes a lot of sense why Ubisoft is doing this, why they're developing a game which seemingly takes 10 steps back from where they currently are. And that is, very simply put, what they're doing now doesn't seem to be working. I know. Assassin's Creed Valhalla had lots of revenue put out. Like, they made a lot of money through it. I'm not denying that. But Ubisoft collects tons of data on all of their players. Everything from which locations you go to which side quests you're entering and then completing, which ones you're abandoning, which collectibles are found more frequently. They collect all of that data and try to use it to create the most engaging game possible in the future. And the most easy to interpret data that you can look at within the context of game development is how many hours each player on average is engaging with your game. Once you have that stat, you can start to break down what's working and what isn't. Because if players start a 100-hour game but give up on it after 15, 20 hours, that's worrisome as a developer, especially as a developer that's working on a massive game over here that's supposed to be live and fulfilling players for years to come. If Ubisoft can't get players to complete a game like Valhalla, which by most accounts, the overwhelming majority of players quit the game after roughly 20 hours, because after 20 hours there's nothing new to see, it's just more of the same, then they're not going to be able to get players to play Assassin's Creed Infinity for years. I mean, if you can't manage 20 hours, you're not going to manage years. So it's pretty clear to me, Ubisoft is going to have to reevaluate what they're doing, because what we've seen in recent months is that Ubisoft is trying a bunch of different sort of twists on DLC and expansions for Valhalla. We've seen them go back and add 60 FPS patches to Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Origins. They're doing all of this, in my mind, to try and collect as much data on what the modern Assassin's Creed player wants from their games. They can collect all of this data and figure out what works and what doesn't, so that they can make a game in the form of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which hopefully captivates the most players for as long as possible, because that's where you make the money. You don't make a game that's always online and is live service that makes tons of money that isn't fun. Then you get Fallout 76. But if you make a game that has good fundamentals, that's just enjoyable to play and that people can keep going back to, you could have your own GTA Online on your hands. And that's what I think they're trying to do. They're reevaluating the fundamentals so that they can figure out what works before they get in too deep. Which is why all of the developers don't want to get out ahead of themselves and say, oh, this is how the game's going to look, and this is how we're going to price things, and this is how the gameplay's going to work, and your character transitions over here. They don't want to say that because they're still trying to figure out what is the best foundation to build Assassin's Creed Infinity upon. So with Assassin's Creed Rift, a stealth game that's in the more classical vein of Assassin's Creed titles, I would bet good money that they're putting that out to see if that style of game still interests people to this day. Because if they build out a 30-40 hour game in Assassin's Creed Rift, and it's in the same style as previous entries like Assassin's Creed 2 or even something like Assassin's Creed 3, which is very linear, then we could look at that, and if it sells well and if players are completing it, they will build infinity around that concept. All of the quests will be structured in that way because they will have verified, confirmed data that show players are willing to engage with those games, and not just willing to, but enjoy it and will keep coming back for more. And on the flip side, if it doesn't do well and they put out Rift and it sells terribly and gets poor reviews because everybody's like, this is outdated and we want newer ideas that are fresh and aren't from 2009, then they'll have that data and they can move forward from there with the knowledge, okay, well, we tried it. Players might talk a big game, but the people that are calling for it are a very vocal minority. We'll move on, focusing on the majority that we have from the data we've collected. But the point of optimism with all of this is that Ubisoft is doing all of this to try and figure out what's working and what doesn't work, so that they can build the most engaging version of Assassin's Creed Infinity that they can, which, whether or not you like live service or not, I totally get it, and I agree, I'm not a big fan of that idea either, but it's happening, so we just gotta roll with the punches. It's happening, what are we gonna do about it? And at this point, I think we can look at that and still maintain some optimism, because if they make a really engaging online game that's live service, living, breathing, whatever, that's better than a living, breathing live service game that's total garbage. I would rather Infinity be really good, fun, engaging, and interesting, and live service than live service and just total ass. That's just me. I did actually read a comment the other day where somebody's like, oh, they're doing
Produkt polski ma zapach polskich truskawek, smak naszych borówek I słodycz polskich malin.
live service for Assassin's Creed. Well, I hope it flops, which to me is just like, I get the sentiment, you know, like I get it. If it flops, then they won't do live service anymore. Live service is often bad, so if it flops, chances are future games won't be live service, so they'll be better. But I just find that dumb. I know it's weird coming from me. I'm like a game critic. All I do all day is like critique and criticize games for things that they do. So often I'm accused of being like overly cynical or picky. But here I'm actually trying to be like the voice of optimism, saying, no, we should want there to be as many good games out there as we can, whether they're live service or whether they are standalone AAA or AA or indie titles that you buy for a flat rate up front. We should want as many good games out there as possible. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. Regardless of the pricing model, I think we want good games over bad games. The difference is, like, sometimes the pricing model can make the game bad, like Diablo Immortal. Really good game foundationally, but the pricing model that they built it around is so egregious that it pulls the entire game down with it. In which case you can evaluate that by itself. As of right now, we have nothing to go on in terms of pricing or how they're monetizing Assassin's Creed Infinity, so there's no reason to freak out about it. Who knows, maybe it'll be a very reasonably priced product that's solid and well done. Ubisoft has these like mood swings where sometimes they do good Ubisoft and other times they do bad Ubisoft. Maybe we'll catch them on a good day and it will be really cool. Maybe it'll be absolute trash and we'll make fun of it for years and years after it releases, but we're just gonna have to wait until that day. But until then, I'm going to maintain cautious optimism because I think I'm seeing things that I think are more cause for excitement than concern. But that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts on this, leave it in the comment section below the like button. I would greatly appreciate it. I like sifting through those and reading through them, so let me know what you think. Also, like I said, we're live on Twitch whenever we post these new videos on Mondays and Fridays, so jump over there, say hi. I'd love to see it. And also a huge thank you to Secret Lab for the Assassin's Creed chair. I'm totally spoiled and I'm very thankful. But with that, I'm going to see you in the next video. Hugs and kisses, or I'll see you over on Twitch, whichever you choose to do. I can't force you, but we have a good time. You should come say hi, even for just like 2 minutes. Links in the description box in the link tree. Go check it out. I love you all. I'll see you over there. Bye-bye.
lody Monte pełne mleka, czekolady i orzechów.
All right, let's see what Bellier thinks about it. So this is the this just came out.
Welcome back. Okay, I am here in the Dragonflight Alpha. I've been playing this quite a lot over the last 2 days, and today I'm going to give you my impressions on all of it. We're going to have deep dive videos and many different topics coming out on the channel over the next few days and as this testing process continues. So of course, do be sure to subscribe to this channel. We will have a lot of content for you and a lot of gameplay live streams as well of this. So I'm going to go through everything today. Now, the
NPCs look cool. Like, I know it's like something small, but I like how they look. What do y'all think? Like, it's something small, but I do like how they look.
What is in this alpha? What is not? Well, right now, we've got one zone. We've got Drakthir. So, what is not? Well,
I like the cone there. That's the same cone they have in Diablo Immortal. That's good.
Right now, we've got one zone, we've got Drakthir, and we've got a few of the new talent revamps, new systems like dragon riding, so there's quite a lot to show off. First then, the zone that I'm in. So this is the Azure Span.
Oh, wow.
So
that's the map right there. Holy shit. Okay, so there's the map. Let me move my cam so y'all can see what's going on here. Onarian Plains, Waking Shores, Thaldraszus, the Azure Span, and the Forbidden Reach.
Is, I believe, the third zone that you get in this expansion.
All right, so
far I'd say it definitely, man, it's got that kind of like...
Looks small. To me, I don't... Like, they said the Azure Span was bigger than any zone they've ever made. So, like, I don't know the scope of, like, how big it is. Like, the size of the map doesn't really matter to me.
North Rendy feel, which of course...
Yeah, we're going to play and we're going to see.
You'll know that I very much do like that. And of course, very obvious here, we are in one of the Kalawak settlements. And one of the things that I think is certainly interesting is
nice.
Seeing the Kalawak, but be done by modern Blizzard, you know?
Yeah.
Modern art assets, modern level
That looks good.
It ends up being just a really nice place to hang out.
Okay.
Now, if I hit the C key,
Great.
Bam, here I am. Dragon riding. I've got a full video on dragon riding coming out. One of the shocking things that I found in that, there are cases where dragon riding is like double the speed of a normal flying mount. That feels pretty damn awesome.
Holy shit.
As is saving money, accessing more content, and being more secure.
Fucking damn,
Today's
that's
sponsor,
fast.
NordVPN.com/Bellular Gaming.
Oh,
it does
man.
just that, and it's available at my link with an exclusive deal and a 30-day money-back guarantee.
NordVPN
lets
basically
you browse
has
the
a
web
logo of
as
my
if
hairline.
You are in any place on Earth.
I don't know what to think about that.
Use Nord to access region-restricted content.
Yeah,
on
I don't know.
landscape that is online streaming services. And
Like,
recently,
shouldn't they be
via the
paying me for
excellent
that?
Tom Scott,
But
learned
somebody-
you can use NordVPN
somebody needs to.
avoid being price gouged by car rental companies, saving him hundreds.
Just make sure, okay,
They
yeah.
also, of course, keep you private.
So I'll make sure my
Your
camera's in the right
ISP
spot.
isn't going to know what
Okay.
sites you use.
Cam
so
top
they
right.
cannot sell
Stop telling me
your
where to put the
browsing
cam.
data
Cam's
to
gonna be right here.
advertisers, which is a pretty damn good thing. Nor can they prioritize some of the traffic that you use over other traffic. And they've got other great security products too, like NordPass, which makes your passwords secure and convenient.
Okay.
Which is great. It's all in the app and the browser extension. That's super, super easy to use, and you can get the exclusive offer at nordvpn.com/Bellular Gaming with, of course, 30-day money-back guarantee.
Okay.
So, thanks to them for supporting our channel, for sponsoring this video,
Yeah,
and letting us do
shout out
things
to
like literally
NordVPN.
grow the team so we can bring you more content on Alpha.
That stuff
more
actually
videos,
works.
More of everything.
Do you use it? No, I don't
Said,
need to.
Let's get back to it.
I've never used it before.
So right now, there's no music in the game. But in terms of like just a nice immersive world, I certainly was totally getting what I wanted from this zone. This is of course just one small part of it though. So I'm going to head over, and in doing so, I'll show you like it's a little bit of the limitations of the base dragon riding system.
Okay.
But anyway, going through here, you do get like a little bit of the Grizzly Hills though. Right, so all of that's quite nice.
Uh-huh.
All the things that you would imagine, like the art assets, etc., are beautiful. And for me, what's been great is that I've appreciated Blizzard's artwork and the likes of Shadowlands. I just haven't cared for the theme like whatsoever. So for me, this is feeling like a slice of core Warcraft, but being done up to that super high new standard.
Okay.
It looks and feels great. Even if I go in here, oh look at this. it's nulls. And how about I use these nulls as an opportunity to show you a little bit of being a Drakthir.
All right,
And
so
again,
let's see
there's
it.
even just something that's kind of nostalgic about, you know, fighting some nulls. So these guys, you know, I've got like my beam attack.
Okay.
We've got a full deep dive in the works.
Yeah,
Me
I
and
like
Matt have
that.
been
That's
going through
good.
this, quite a bit. I mean, you know, bam, talents. All new talents is a whole new thing to learn. It's kind of hard. So, like, as an example, here's the new, like, empowered abilities. So when you hold the button...
So that's the thing where, like, you charge it, and it has, like, 3 different levels. Like, I like that a lot, because it reminds me a lot of, like, Hellblade with, what do you call it? With Lost Ark. Yeah, I like it a lot, man. Yeah, it's exactly like Lost Ark.
you know, different things will happen. So for the Eternity Surge, I think because those were like little creeps, the like animation didn't fully play, but for Eternity Surge, it like damages more enemies the longer you hold it.
Yeah.
For the Fire Breath, it does more damage over time the longer you hold it, but it still has the same single target component.
Okay.
So it ends up all being like quite fun.
So you can make it an AoE attack if you hold it
which lets
longer.
me instantly do a fully empowered ability.
Holy
so I can
shit.
just go bam and like blast a whole bunch of dudes. Now I'll throw down some pyres, which was honestly a bit silly because that's probably the...
I feel like this looks pretty cool. Yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys like it or not? Yeah, like, I think it looks good, man. It definitely does. RK Mage, yeah. Same thing reskinned. Well, I think that's fine. I think really what people don't want, like, people want to have just, like, more content in general. I think that's what matters the most. Yeah, people just want more content.
Yeah, should use in this case. But anyway, that's like a little bit of Drakthir. What I'd say right now with Drakthir is where their strength is that they have really cool singular big abilities. And I'm going to use one for you right now, okay? So, I mean, get a load of this.
Okay.
It's just cool.
What the fuck?
Alpha is alpha. All right, so a few things. There's a new type of targeting
Okay, yeah, there we
like
go.
this. So this is like kind of neat. Lots of really good information. If I click on that, you know, bam, and I do this really big route. Now another cool ability information. If I click on that, you know,
That's really cool. That is fucking, that's actually badass.
bam, and I do this really big route. Now another cool ability that I've got, one of the ones they were I think, very keen to show off at BlizzCon, is this, where I can just kind of go boom. Right? Like, that's just sweet. But then...
I feel like that's, like, such a big animation lock. I don't know if you'd ever really want to use that. Like, it's one of those abilities that, like, it looks really cool, but, like, see, like, everybody's like, oh, that's in PvP. Bro, like, you see somebody fucking dive bombing, you hit them with a stun, and I bet they go from, like, right here, and there's, like, not even an animation to them hitting the ground. They're flying, and the next fucking frame, they're like... Right, like guaranteed. So it could be stun immune. It's actually stun immune. Oh. Okay, that is interesting. All right, yeah, that would be fucking cool.
If I tap it again, I actually go back to my original location. So that's pretty sweet. I can then use the Fire Breath.
Just move out of it. Yeah, true.
Eternity Surge. And I mean, man, I did just blast a bunch of boys. So.
Why are there 5 bag slots? There have been 4 bag slots for a long time. Are they adding another inventory bag slot? Now, I know you guys might think Asmongold is saved. I'm not. I'm just going to figure out 30 more items to carry with me that I don't need. Yep.
That side of it actually feels pretty damn good. Okay, there'll be a lot more in Drakthir later on. I've been doing decently extensive testing on the DPS spec, while Matt has been doing on the healing spec. And funny enough, he's basically pretty damn glowing about what the healing spec is like.
I feel like if Matt likes it, it's good. Because that guy is always the reality check. You know what I mean? Like, that guy, if he likes it, if it's actually good, then it's really good, right? Yeah, he is the reality check. If it's actually good, there it is. He's the litmus test, yeah.
So to give you some of like the art and the vibes, here obviously we've got the more foresty situation. You saw the more Northrend-like.
This looks really nice.
Guys. I'm now going to head into a little bit of a different.
So how big is the area?
Fly over to that, and you just see like a little bit more of what they've going on, got going on with the art.
The zone's
this
pretty.
Is one thing that I like.
I really like this because it's like a very open. Well, he'll probably say the same thing I am, actually.
Nice, big open areas.
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. And so the reason why I like it is that, like, I felt like with Legion and with BFA and also, like, to a degree with Shadowlands, right? It's like every cave and everything, like every object in the game has like 7 different uses to it, and it's all like hyper fucking maximized. Whereas whenever you're just playing like one of the old zones, there are just certain areas in the zones that just simply look cool. That's it. They just simply look cool. And I like that. That's great. Yeah, zones, yeah, they were way too dense and busy.
That is another thing that I've really appreciated as I've been playing the game. I think a lot of the zones in the modern game, they've got kind of cramped, kind of hemmed in, and that just hasn't really worked particularly well for me, to be honest. It's not been as good for the fantasy. It's felt more like a gameplay space created by a designer than anything else. Okay, another thing you might be wondering about then is the...
It's like kind of one of the other... It sounds like paradoxical, right? But like it's one of the kind of good things about Elden Ring is that there are a lot of places in Elden Ring that are just there. Right? Like, not every single nook and cranny has a fucking cave in it. And it's like, it can be annoying if you're trying to find something like that, but I actually think that it's cool in a different way. How do you talk about this critical design stuff? Stuff about how Tarkov is too complex? Because I haven't played Tarkov in 15 years.
Campaign, the leveling, what's that like? The questing. Hard to say. There's definitely quite a few cutscenes and things. I know that much because the amount of, like, placeholders.
Thank fucking God. Like, they need more cutscenes. That's one of the things, like, they need more than anything. It's like, yes, more cutscenes, more stuff like that, so people can feel like they're actually part of the story. That's big good.
This
video about TSM.
Also, I've not played
what's
through
that?
it with voice acting or music, and those things are pretty big for the narrative experience.
Yeah.
I mean, that's certainly something we've learned in our own development.
I know this might upset some people, but I generally think that the prologue stuff for Shadowlands was good. Like the Lillian Voss quest line with Undercity, the Sylvanas and Anduin thing, I think these were good. They were well voice acted and everything. I'm talking about everything after the story of the Jailer. The Jailer was a fucking massive L. It was garbage. But I'm saying after that, the epilogue? What did I say? Prologue? Yeah, I mean epilogue. Yeah, like, I don't know. Yeah, okay, well, I meant epilogue. Yeah, everything after Sepulchre. I feel like all of that stuff was great.
So those are really important, and they're obviously not there. In terms of flow and that kind of thing...
And like, you can see why. Because you think about it, right, is that a lot of the people that kind of, like, started Shadowlands are no longer at the company. So, like, the people that are making the game, like, yeah, they could have done it better. They still fumbled it. It was garbage. And there's not really an excuse for this, but it makes sense, right? Because, like, if you're taking over the story halfway through, you don't know how it was supposed to end. Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do? Right, you can make the best out of it, but like there's not really that much you can do because the odds are the next expansion is still being developed, so you have to lead 1 into 2. And it just puts you in a bad spot. I think it makes sense. They scrapped a lot too. Yeah, they probably had to. Because like, didn't they say specifically that Alex Afrasiabi was the one that wanted to have Sylvanas burn down the tree? But the guy wasn't there to finish and show the whole, the whole thing.
Similar enough to what you would expect. So you have a, well, I've actually done it, so I can't see it anymore, but you've got a primary campaign that is through the zone, and then you have loads of side quests.
Yeah.
Essentially, the campaign is moving you through the A-plot. The side quests, then, are more fleshing out the areas and the peoples. I think, honestly,
and they took that probably from Final Fantasy. Yeah, they took that from Final Fantasy, and that's actually a good thing. Like, I liked how whenever you go to one of the zones, you're able to, like, you can do the MSQ and do all that, but, like, you can do the other quests and figure out, like, what those characters in the area are about. That's actually smart to do. You're pausing it too much? I got a lot to talk about. It's too bad.
All the nicer stuff is going to be found in the side quests. That's not any knock in the main quest, by the way, and I'm not going to do spoilers right now. It's not a knock in the main quest. It's just, for a lot of us, like, we just kind of want to see the world be, like, all built and fleshed out. It's one of the things where even though I had a lot of criticisms of the BFA expansion, I did like Culturas. At least bits of it. You know, when you actually just felt like...
Drusvar was really, really good. The other ones were okay. But I actually think Drusvar is probably like a top 5 questing zone in the game.
Like that area was being built up. I thought that was really strong. And I feel like I'm getting some of those same strengths here as well. So there are some other things. No doubt you've noticed the UI is a bit different. This is super work in progress. I mean, these are the old style of unit frames. We know that those are not what they're going to ship because they've actually previewed a mock-up of what the one that they plan to make looks like.
Okay.
So there's that. I mean, we've got our bars. They look a bit different, more compact.
I don't like, I feel like what they need to do is they need to make it to be where you can resize them. Like, I'll probably still use dominoes because it's better. Yeah, like a dragon runs off, I think it's fine. That's how it's always run.
Definitely a bit of character's been lost in the art bar, I'll say that much. But you essentially do have, like, bartender built in, right? So, yeah.
Okay. All right. How about that? Ain't that just a bit of something?
No, that's kind of
all right.
cool.
They listened.
A lot of people are just going to get an add-on. They're just going to get elf or bartender or something like that. But that you can do that in the base UI, I think.
Yeah, I think that like there should never be a time where the solution to a bad feature in the UI is to download an add-on, because the majority of players in WoW, in my opinion, like if you look at the overall player base, a lot of people don't know how to download add-ons. They have no fucking idea. And especially new players. I think it's like a new player doesn't have like any context of like how to download an add-on or what the fuck this is. They just started the game a month ago or like a couple of weeks ago. That's what's happened to me. I remember whenever I first started. That's what it was. I think you're wrong. You think that somebody that just started playing the game like 2 weeks ago maybe like has all the context of how to download add-ons and like what program to use and like how to get them installed into their game and how to activate them and use them? No, I don't think so. I do not think, no, this is ridiculous. Absolutely fucking not.
Pretty damn fantastic. And then now you can see I'm sort of changing biomes into a more frosty place. Again, you know, you're getting the kind of pan-Northrend thing going on in this zone, which is one of the things that I really tried to do with it. So overall, I'll say
I like the scale of it. You know, like the really tall trees and like that little fucking like whatever this is, this tower. I like that a lot.
The world that I've seen is stuff that I've basically universally loved. Questing was fun. The side quests were fun. All that stuff has been really solid. But of course,
the more I watch the dragon move around, the more it's like, yeah, man, like those feet are a little too fast. You know what it reminded me of? Do you remember back whenever in Warlords of Draenor, whenever the boars came out and their running animation was like this? And like Blizzard had to actually like come out and apologize and be like, listen, the boars are too fast. We're gonna slow them down.
Of course, we do know that a World of Warcraft expansion tends to not live or die by its leveling or having some nice side quests.
No, it doesn't matter.
For a lot of people, it's going to be the more endgame side of things. What I can say is...
I do think that, like, for a casual player, for, like, a relaxed, like, you know, everyday guy, I do think it matters a lot.
What they're doing with crafting and how that provides deterministic
Oh
gearing,
my god.
I think that's actually something that could be potentially fantastic. Just as one...
Somebody played New World. Like, yeah, this is good. Like, yeah, I'm about this. Like, this is good. New World had cool crafting. I like it.
An example. But of course, we've yet to really see the full scope of that content. We don't know what the reputation system is going to look like, just that they're perhaps these kind of like mega reps that are delivered a bit differently. There are the likes of, say, the talent system, and that's an interesting...
Holy shit. Holy shit. So there it is. Here, I'll let y'all look at it for a minute. I gotta take a piss. Look at that. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. That's a lot of talents, man. That's a whole lot of talents. Oh my god. Like, I'm gonna figure out the most overpowered one. Actually, I'm gonna figure it out and I'm not gonna talk about it. Like, I did this in New World. There was like some fucking basically like borderline exploit shit that I did to get all my gear. And I didn't show it on my stream because I wanted to exploit it whenever the game came out. And I did. I exploited the shit out of it. It was great. I'm gonna do the same thing with this.
Interesting one. I mean, here, you basically, if you kind of go towards the left, you'll get the more red spells, the more blue spells are to the right, and you can kind of hybrid around them if you're kind of going down the middle.
Yeah.
You'll almost certainly be able to get 2 end cap talents, so basically either this, or that and that. Now, when you go...
I wish you could use your I wish there weren't PvP talents. I wish the PvP talents were built into this. I feel like it's impossible to do that, but I just don't like having abilities that only work in PvP.
Going to some of the other classes, it kind of just ends up being maybe playstyle A and playstyle B.
Yeah.
Like sort of rigid playstyle A and B would be the left and right hand side, and sort of hybrid down the
It
middle.
has to be that
For
way.
some, it's kind of
It
felt a
might be.
bit like, you know, AoE's that way, single targets that way, and that hasn't felt as great. So there are
Yeah, because it's too obvious, and like everybody just always picks, like if you go look at like the fucking like arena websites, you'll see like 98.9% of people use this talent, and then the 1.1% that's left over, those guys got boosted. Everybody fucking uses it.
certainly, you know, there are good things and there are bad things with the talent revamp, that's for sure. What they're doing is they're codifying things that you've had through past expansions, basically trying to put the greatest hits into this.
That's exactly
Now,
what they
pro
should
of
do.
that is it basically means no more broad power, no more bullshit. This hopefully should be a nice solid foundation to move forward from. A con of that is, I mean, I like the fantasy of Hunter. I have not enjoyed MM since Battle for Azeroth. It still is the same MM. I'm not going to play Hunter in this expansion. So when there were more regular class revamps and that kind of thing being done, I think for a lot of people that ended up being a more exciting experience. Even logging into Wrath for the first time, seeing your new end sort of end cap talents, and being like, oh, Titan's Grip, that's a cool new fantasy.
Yeah.
And those things are just not really here.
I think that's actually a really good point. Like what he's saying is he's talking about like having like different types of like end cap talent defining abilities. Like for example, like the way that you would play like a DPS warrior in classic WoW, you had like 3 different ways you'd basically play it. You could play arms, dual wield fury, or two-handed fury. And everybody pretty much played dual wield because it was better, but you could do the other 2 options. And I think that like giving people options to do different types of builds that feel different is really important.
So we'll see. The talent system is certainly very work in progress.
Yeah.
But it's going to be extremely good for the long-term health of the game. It's just, I think some
Different, like,
classes will come
capstone
off better
talents,
than
you know?
others, and you'll get a mild version of that feeling of being powered down because you are, of course, going to lose your Shadowlands borrowed power, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
not going to feel particularly great. I mean, certainly one
It never
funny
does.
element of these is it's almost like trying to work out the puzzle. It's like within this, they have maybe 2-3 intended builds, and you're almost trying to put that together yourself. And sometimes that can be a bit iffy. But what I definitely do know is that leveling up the class like fresh for a new player is going to feel so much more satisfying with the new talent system. So even from
That's what really matters, is because I know you guys might not think this, but there are actually new people that come in and play WoW. And whenever that happens, you don't want those people to just like not stick around. It's kind of like a big issue. It's a cap? No way. No, it's not a cap. It's not. Like I've seen many of them. Like they've told me like it's not a cap. Now obviously like is it blowing up like the same as Fortnite did back in 2018? No. But like there will be new people that come into the game regularly, and if the game can't retain those players, then it's fucking dead. Like the game's fucking dead, because at that point you only have the people that are already playing, and that number is only going to get smaller over time. So you have to have, like, it is more important, I think, to make casual players and new players feel like the game is fun than to make old players feel like playing the game for 15 years has value. It's just better for the health of the game as a whole. And this is coming from somebody who's a 15-year player. Longevity, yeah, it's the longevity.
perspective, I think it's pretty good for long-term health of the game. We're just going to have to
Yeah.
see how it actually is
Exactly.
for endgame. these are going to be going over so many different iterations. Like, they really are. Some of the ones, like we have Feral Druids, are kind of rough right now, I would say. There's a few examples. I think Shadow Priest also is a little bit rough. And I just have to imagine that those will get pretty major iterations as time goes on. So it's one of those things. There are times when we have to say alpha is alpha, but we very much need to not say that
Because
when it's like, 3 weeks away from launch, and because we were very soft and things early on, they didn't.
I think that really what people should do is that if there's something that's obviously wrong with the game, nobody should sit there and be like, oh, I'm sure they'll have a solution. Like, I think that people should be like fucking united in saying, this is bad, please change this, it doesn't work, it's not fun. Because that's what happened with Shadowlands, is that Shadowlands had a lot of these like fucking obvious problems, and there weren't enough people that were complaining about them, in my opinion, and Blizzard just pushed them through.
Get fixed,
That's
right?
what's
So
bad.
we still, we've got to be proper about things. This is ultimately still the same company that did Shadowlands, isn't it? I guess we're a bit more in the Drakthir then.
Not really. Most of those guys are fired, to be fair. like actually, I mean, in a certain degree, it's kind of not.
And I'm going to do like a full deep dive to run you through all of their customization
Most of-
options.
it's probably
there
most,
are
yeah,
so
you're right.
many. But that's really my point. There are so many customization options. It is insane. It is
Here, you guys can see
absolutely
the
insane how much
Look at
they
that.
have put into the Drakthir. So, like, even in the head, like, every little different area of horns and fins.
I love how you're talking about how much detail. Meanwhile, the fucking spikes are clipping right through the fucking helmet. The scales, like, look at this right here. It's going right through the fucking thing. This one's going right through there. Like, I mean, yeah, it looks fine. It's not a big deal, right? Like, it's okay. I'm not upset about this. But it is funny.
Of different varieties you can change. There's like 20 different stouts. There's even some like armor that your dude can wear, because of course when you're not in, when you go into your
It looks really
Visage
good.
form, that's when you're actually wearing the gear that you're wearing. This stuff is
It's
just
crazy how much it seems like the base character models are holding the team back. Because I'm not the only person that thinks like the dragon version is just so much higher quality, right? This is like an infinitely higher level of quality. Holy shit.
character creator, and I very much hope that they add more of that over time. But yeah, so the Drakthir, look, I think the classes, like the specs, have been decently fun. It's just that kind of thing where, you know, that feels good.
So like, listen
right?
to that.
It's that kind of thing where, you know,
So there's a audio cue that tells you whenever you hit the thing, so you don't actually have to look at the bar.
that feels good, right? That just feels good. This is crazy. Their hover, I didn't do it there, but it shoots you forward a little bit if you press a button with it, and then you can cast while moving for a bit. Like, that feels pretty damn sweet.
Casting while moving is like, you shouldn't be able to always do it, but I liked how in, I think it was like Mists of Pandaria or Legion, one of the two, where you could cast a few spells while moving. Yeah, like almost like slide casting.
Of course, like,
Mop
you know,
blocks,
this
yeah.
big thing. I mean, goddamn. That's just one of the cooler abilities in the game.
That's bad. Oh, it stuns
Straight
them.
up, right? And that you can then teleport back to where you started. I mean, there's loads of options probably in terms of gameplay around that. Even crazy things like Zephyr. Matt will talk about that in his video, but
Okay.
oh man, Zephyr, it's like a stampeding roar at like, so I suppose that, and a big bug damage reduction. It's kind of crazy. There are certainly some elements where like some of their buttons just don't feel super great yet.
Yeah.
And Essence, which is their resource system.
I hope they go with what they did with Demon Hunter. Because Demon Hunter, every button pretty much that Demon Hunter has like a big function. Like one thing I don't really like about Warrior right now is that we have a lot of buttons that you don't really need to have. Like, and they don't feel good to use. Like Whirlwind does not feel good to use. It's like basically Whirlwind is like you're hitting, it's like you've got 4 pool noodles attached to your body and you're doing fucking, you're spinning around like you're in ballet. You're doing no fucking damage, All it is slam. Well, slam, yeah. Like, I don't think that's as big of a deal because it's not a rotational ability. But like, yeah, I wish Whirlwind did way more damage. That's my point.
The essence here, I've actually
Rappy, thanks for 5 subs.
Like, the essence abilities don't feel incredible to use, so I just think essence feels like just a tad weak right now.
Okay.
So I'd like to see that get fixed up. But they do have cool abilities, cool ideas throughout. We kind of just need to wait and see where it ends up. It's very early. I guess they have the components there for an absolute banger of a class. That's totally true. And funny enough, actually, whenever I logged into this, it recommended not to make a Dracthyr for my first character. It just said, hey, this is like too advanced for you.
That's actually a smart idea. Because like Dracthyr, it's the same as like DKs. It's like you had to know a lot about the game to even get into a DK. Like it's better to have somebody start at like level 1 and to have them play through the game than unlock these more advanced classes.
So that's kind of interesting. I suppose they'll be guiding new players away from these.
DK needs
Probably
now.
just because they don't.
No, it absolutely does. Like if you compare like a max level, or sorry, an entry level Death Knight to an entry level Warrior or an entry level Mage, you need much less knowledge and understanding of the game to understand a Mage or a Warrior versus a Death Knight. Like that's just all there is to it.
To maybe get them overwhelmed. Certainly, like as you're trying to parse your way through the talent tree, there's like a lot of competing things, just sort of like little sub-gameplay niches. To give you a quick example of one, like there's Charge Blast, cost 2 essence, and basically whenever you do Azure Strike, which is this like kind of AoE filler, also can be cast while moving, you do 2 of those, then it will power up your Charge Blast to do way more damage. And then with Charge Blast, you can either make it a 40% chance to reset its own CD, or make it just have an AoE component. So that's like 2 different kind of vibes of that ability. Or if you go way to the weak component, so that's like
so you can click on it and decide what you want it to be. That's cool. Yeah, talents inside of talents. Someone in the game, Blizzard must be a fan of PoE. I like this. This is good. Yeah, I like the specialization. Yeah, these are very good. Like having these talent trees and like these levels of character customization. He's not in the town. Yeah, exactly. Like, I also hope, like, this is a small thing, but I hope that they make War Mode so you can join War Mode and get into War Mode outside of Stormwind and Orgrimmar. I think that's stupid. Like, it doesn't make sense to me that, like, you can only go... Like, it should be either all main cities or, like, there should be a hub in like, more areas because it's just annoying. I think that's a big reason why people don't use War Mode is because you can't just turn it on and off. Like, I feel like, oh, well, that's people use, like, who gives a fuck? Like, it's just annoying. Like, like, the solution to, like, people not wanting to do something is not to make it, you know, or trying to exploit something is always, not always to just make it, what's the word for it? Make it, like, annoying to do, basically, right? To just, like, yeah, make it obtuse. That's why I never use it, yeah.
2 different kind of vibes of that ability.
Inaccessible.
Or, if you go way to the other end of the tree, you've got Firestorm, which is just like an AoE damage circle thing, that then can proc from Living Flame, which is like one of your main fillers. So that's just like sort of 2 different flavors of...
So what does the spell say? Send a flickering flame towards your target, dealing 7,000 damage to an enemy or healing an ally for 10,000 damage. I feel like, in my opinion, I think that there is a little bit of Red Mage DNA in these Dracthyr. I feel like there's probably like just a little bit of it. Like I can see a lot of like, yeah, this is a little bit kind of like Red Mage, a little bit, yeah. And I think that's a good thing. Like Red Mage is one of the coolest classes in Final Fantasy. I think it's fucking awesome.
The side loop, I suppose you can choose when you're in that tree. I mean, the other cool thing, I mean, man, Sword, just like Zoom. These guys actually get like their own little version of dragon riding, and it feels great.
Yeah.
You're going to use it once every 5 minutes, but what's crazy is you can even use it like when you're out in the regular world. Oh, yeah, that may just... Something weird happens in that building, like it boots you out of it.
That's really cool, yeah.
I kind of went through a lot of things for my first impressions. I just wanted to today give you like a whirlwind, you know, like... I don't know, like those fancy small snacks that rich people eat at fancy events. I forget what they call them. Anyway, those, right? Like just a little run through everything. So I'll do some professions now. Here's blacksmithing. So there's blacksmithing gear, which right now is a hammer that has no stats on it, but it does have a crafting quality.
Okay.
And then 2 accessories, but this is evidently not done. I'm assuming that where my mouse is now is supposed to be some form of talent tree, but
Yeah.
that ain't in yet. For the recipes,
So
though,
basically what they're doing is, you guys think like they're basically taking the crafting and making it much more similar to, I feel like, I haven't done Final Fantasy crafting, so I can't really speak to that, but it does remind me, especially with like this bar and like being able to change this bar and finishing reagents, it reminds me a lot of New World. And I think also the talent tree, it reminds me a lot of the fishing rod in Legion. And the fishing rod in Legion, I think, was like one of the really underappreciated badass things they did with Legion. Just straight up out of nowhere, hey, we got a fishing rod for you. It's got all this cool stuff. There's like a whole fucking, you know, a whole thing that you can do here. And if you don't want to do it, it's totally fine. It's like, the reason why I liked it is because it had like the same vibe and confidence of like Elden Ring or like, you know, a From Software game, where it's like you have this massive amount of content and we are not afraid if you just don't do it. It's optional. It makes the game cooler, but you don't have to do it. I think that's good.
I can show you a little bit. So, like, here's one thing.
From
Essence
that,
of
so
Tear
Stark's
increases
badass, yeah,
crafting
true.
skill by 30 when used in a recipe.
Good.
So then, if I was to make these PvP starter arm guards, you can see that normally I could make those with,
Let's say 278.
you know, with the 2-star, which is item level 272. If I add in the Essence of Tear, it actually doesn't add enough crafting skill for me to make it to the higher level. So,
Oh,
I'll
hold
just
on.
It actually doesn't add enough crafting skill.
So there it is. PvP starter arm guards, quality bonuses. So each one is really only 2 points. So the quality isn't really gonna matter until you get to like higher end gear. But having the thing is also though is like having a 1 quality versus a 5 quality. A 5 quality is 8 item levels, like total. That's a lot. It's not honing. Guys, it's not honing. It's not. Like I've read everything about this. It's not honing. It's deterministic.
Skill for me to make it to the higher level, so I'll just have to increase my crafting skill and maybe earn some talents once they're implemented. So it's an interesting little system, very different to what we've had in the past. Here's an example, like making a blacksmith's toolbox. Now, here's a good thing. So 2 stars there, but here I have, this is Tyrivite ore, okay? But you can see it has bronze, silver, and gold quality. So if I use the bronze one...
So you've got to get quality on... So holy shit. So there's quality from even getting the materials. Okay. Quality of reagents. Is that a good thing? I think that like it could be if somebody is a miner. So like there's a good part of this, right? Because if somebody is a miner and they have mining, think about it like this. It's actually like if you look at it abstractly, it's really good for helping against botting. Because the odds are that in order to get 3-star ores, you need to have a large amount of resources and investment into your character, right? But bots don't have that because they're just made to level up and then they craft. But if you have a character that you have to pick up a lot of stuff for to even obtain the materials that are required that people want, then the bots never get to that level. So it makes it harder for people to bot the higher level materials. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, do you see how this comes together?
See that this bar actually decreases. If I use the bronze one here, you can see that it decreases all the way down to where this now would be crafting at a bronze quality. But if I was to add the higher quality reagents and then add this Essence of Tear, I'd actually guaranteed craft that at gold quality. There is, of course, then also the chance of inspiration where you can basically just crit a higher crafting level. But
I think that's a good idea. Being able to, the thing is, being able to have optional bonuses. Yeah, I actually think that it's a good solution to have certain stars and like to make it to where the amount of effort that it takes to get the ores takes a larger amount of initial investment to get the highest quality, because it makes the barrier to entry for botting it harder to get to.
Thing to know that's
But
nice.
like RNG, like stuff like this, like the problem with RNG is if RNG is the only way. I think that it's totally okay for somebody to get lucky and get a good item. I don't think that it's totally okay for the only way to get the good item is to get lucky. That's what sucks.
Is that the RNG there, basically, like, once you actually level up through it enough,
Titan Forge?
you don't need the RNG to all of his craft at the highest quality. So
Exactly, and that's the good thing. That's why it's not honing. I think that they should bring back Titan Forging, but they should bring it back for only things that are heroic item level and lower. Never let something Titan Forge up to mythic quality, but I think that you should absolutely let Titan Forging for like a world quest reward go up to heroic raid level. Yeah, absolutely. No thanks. Why is that bad? Fought so hard to remove it, now you want it back? No, if you play the game seriously, you're gonna have heroic quality gear or better. This would never even affect you. If you're a serious player, you'd never even be affected by this. I'm saying quality of gear can upgrade up to theoretically 265 item level at this point. If a 265 item level piece of gear, somebody gets it from a world quest, a casual player gets it from a world quest, this is not going to break the game. It's just going to make that person happy, and it makes it more exciting. There's nothing wrong with that. It's bad because you have a best in slot for heroic raider, you have to be looking for world quest. Remember Trigger from Kwiecień? If you are a heroic raider, the last thing you should be worried about is your best in slot. Like, you can't make it to where, like if you're min-maxing heroic raiding, the problem is not you, it's not your gear. Like, that's just a fact. And what's this here? They don't make best in slot items, Titan Forge, and world quest and shit? Well, that's what, yeah, you can't have that. Like, nobody wants an Arcano Crystal, but having it like this is actually a good idea. Stuff like Arcano Crystal was a problem. So you're saying that you should get rid of the entire system and it shouldn't exist at all because there were 3 outliers. Just change the way that the outliers work. That's like, it's such a dumb way to look at things. Yeah, that's fine so long as it doesn't go to mythic quality. I think it's a good idea. Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. I don't think that there should be a universe where you have to rely on this to get very good gear. But I think that if you're talking about like heroic level gear and under that, I think Titan Forging gear up for world quests and other types of like dungeon rewards and stuff like that is totally fine. And it adds an added bonus for a casual player. Absolutely. Why do world quest heroes need heroic gear? Because it's fun. It's fun to get good gear. That's why. What did you think? Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to get good gear.
I'd say overall my first impression of the I'll do the deep dive.
It's crazy how people say I'd never bother wasting my time doing mythic quests or raids. I get free gear from doing mythic quests. It's actually crazy how like I can say something so plainly and people will go out of their way to misunderstand it. I'm going to reiterate what I said one more time. I think that they should add in a degree of Warforging and Titan Forging for base low-level gear that upgrades it up to the quality of a heroic raid. I do not think that it should go beyond a heroic raid. So that way, if you were talking about best in slot, it's still deterministic. That way it gives casual players, because they're doing normal and like fucking world quests, it gives them something to look forward to, something that's fun and excitement. Whenever they get a drop and it's a Titan Forged item, it looks really cool. I think that does have a value and it is good. The problem is whenever high-end players feel like they need to beat their head against a wall, pulling a slot machine for 10 hours a day to get a trinket. That's what's bad. So you don't want to have that happen, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a value of having low-level gear that can upgrade and make people feel good while they're leveling up and starting the game. Yeah, this would not affect high-end players at all. This would only be good for casual players. There is no logical reason why this is bad.
But my first impression is good. There is more intricacy and depth within the actual crafting process. I think for me, though, I'm still interested to see what does the endgame economy look like, what does the work order system look like, and what do these actually look like when we're in a scenario of real players actually trading with each other.
We can talk about this later.
Instead of
Let me finish this.
just people making shit with resources they get for free on a test server, right? Because that is pretty damn different. So I mean,
Yeah, that's what
for
they
the
should
first
do.
impressions, that's kind of where I'm at. I'll summarize things and I'll give you my best thoughts on where things are going. Because remember, I have not seen 4 of these zones. I've not done the starter zone for the Drakthir. I haven't seen the main city. That's not in the alpha yet. This is a super limited early alpha, but apparently, from what I've heard, Blizzard actually intends to test in bite-sized chunks that are more focused, which will mean they'll get more targeted feedback that is more actionable. I think that is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
That actually could make this a significantly more useful beta than ones in the past. Where
That's cool to have little RP things like that. I like it a lot. Everyone gatekeeping heroic gear is clearly stuck on. We'll talk about it after I finish this.
it's just these big monolithic builds full of so
Yeah,
many things.
I'll talk
At least
about it
this
after.
way, they can actually get targeted, actionable feedback. So I'm really hoping that that's going to be good for the development process. I know one thing, this is supposed to come out this year, so it's bloody well going to have to be good, because they do not have the most time in the world to actually test this thing.
That's true. Yeah, they better get it right
Playing
the
this
first
class,
time.
I've had a bunch of fun. This zone, I really love. It is just beautiful.
I want to be able to cut down these trees, Blizzard. You did it in WoD. You took it away from me. I want to be able to cut down the trees.
It's beautiful. It feels like Azeroth, you know? And for me,
Yep.
that's a pretty big thing that World of Warcraft's. I mean, to be honest with you, that it has been lacking. You know?
The zone's pretty big.
Has it really felt like Azeroth? I mean, Shadowlands, obviously not. BFA, I think, was shining when it felt like Azeroth, but they kind of started getting all weird with the lore and taking the characters in bizarre directions. And weird things could still happen, that is absolutely the case. But when I just soar around here, I mean,
That's cool that they have big boys like that. I think it's important to have like massive like monsters out in the world. You know, things like Fell Reavers and shit like that. I like that.
this is Azeroth.
This is good.
That's good to me. So
It's like
in
they
a way
obviously did
that
this straight up off
Bastion
of
and
like
all those
Borean
places
Tundra
were just not giving me the core Warcraft
and
fantasy.
Grizzly Hills.
This can give me the Warcraft fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, seemingly
gonna
nobody's
look at
home,
this.
but like we got the Tuskar back. And I know you could say that's just cheap fan service, whatever. No, they're nice. I like them. I like their culture. I like the way their NPCs talk. I like the storylines that the Tuskar get. It's still just giving me that slice of the world that I know I like, but it seems that they just didn't want to give us. I mean,
Yeah.
with Zandalar and stuff, that all felt like, I think, a bit alien. I think it was like kind of a bit rocky.
I never really gave a fuck about the Zandalar thing. Like, I thought the Jaina quest line was good. It's just, I just didn't really give a shit about it.
You know, with BFA, like, it wasn't really super Alliance versus Horde. Like, it wasn't as much as it could have been. Like, it was at parts, but I just don't feel like they've done a great job of delivering it like the core Warcraft fantasy. I don't know, for whatever reason. At least here, I actually feel more of that. Now, we have to see how
I
the
agree with
story and
that.
all of that stuff goes, but on that side, I'm feeling pretty good. On the Drakthir, I'm feeling pretty good.
Some of the
We can see where
Shadowlands
it
stuff
goes.
looks weird too.
UI, I think it could be really good, but it's just
Yeah.
not done yet. Not even close, so we need to wait and see for that one. Overall, my thoughts are leaning toward positive.
Good.
I think that this
All right.
expansion could end up being like more of a, a solid 7, a solid 8, than like something that's crazy and blows people away. But I think that's because they've had to invest work in the basics. And
I think that's right. I don't think that Dragonflight is going to have like the same level of pop-off potential that Legion maybe did, right? Now, I could be wrong about this, but I feel like Dragonflight is we are going to stop doing all this crazy shit. We are going to build up the foundation of the game. We're going to make the game's foundation stronger.
nations. So they've made the talent system.
That's what
But
matters.
they haven't made a massive amount of new abilities.
It's kind of like, the funny thing is, like, this is what I've always said, right? Is that it will take 2 to 3 good expansions to make the game good again. Like, I know you can't do it in one expansion. You can't make all of those changes at one time.
So you're not going to log in and feel like, oh wow, Look at what my warrior can do. Look
Also, I like the fact that there's no stat squish. That means I can do big numbers. I like big numbers.
this new ability they've built for me. This is so cool. This is so fun. That's not going to happen with the talent system. What's going to happen is you'll recreate what you like already, maybe plus a few things, maybe minus a few things, and you'll have a bit more wiggle room.
Yeah.
That's going to feel how it feels. But the fact that the talent system has now solved the borrowed power and all of that system, it's solved that development problem.
Yeah.
That's going to be good for the game going forward. I think one thing I'm definitely happy about though is the dragon riding feels good. I think that if they really nailed the quality of the world content, so in the same way that back in the day loads of us would do Argent Tournament, we would do Netherwing, right? We do all of those things. That'll be so much more fun with dragon riding, so I'm so happy that dragon riding is honestly a big winner. The video, my full deep dive into that is going to be on the channel today as well, so you actually get to see that.
I'm gonna try it out myself.
So yeah, I played this for, how long have you been in this character?
It's almost 67.
Oh, this character's been 7 hours, but there's been generally a lot of gallivanting around other things. Oh yeah, sorry, no, that's this level. Yeah, 12 hours, right? So I've been on this character for 12 hours in the time.
So he's level 67 after 12 hours of pretty much probably casual play. So you'll be able to hit max level in one day. Okay.
I've had access.
That's what I'm
to
expecting.
Testing. And they were a really fun 12 hours. I just really enjoyed checking all the things out. Like the Drakthir felt
started
really novel,
65.
the zone felt
Oh,
really
never
good.
mind.
And that's really as far as we can actually go with this stage of the alpha. So as time goes on, more zones will be added, eventually there will be endgame. Hopefully they will actually give us character templates and the sorts of things that we need to properly test things out at endgame. But for now, certainly I'm feeling good. But obviously, don't pre-order. Wait till you see the reviews. I think it wouldn't be responsible to kind of make all this alpha hype content before we...
No, there's no reason. I think that anybody who's going to probably decide that, I would never recommend somebody to pre-order. There's no reason to pre-order or anything like that. If you like the game, if you know you're going to play it, you should do whatever you want to do with your money. But, I'm not going to tell people to pre-order something. Fuck. WoD looked amazing before it came out. There are a lot of expansions look amazing before they come out. I do think that most WoW expansions will be worth your money for, worth your time for money if you value your time at $1 an hour. That's what I've said before, but that doesn't mean you have to do that.
Really know how it's going to turn out. Certainly, I'm seeing a lot of positive indicators, and I feel pretty good about that. So, there you go. That is my Dragonflight initial impressions. Of course, check out today's sponsor. They're essential in supporting what we do. They really are. And, hey, some damn handy business too. So you can check out Nord down below. Thanks to you for watching today's video. There will be just so much content on the channel, so, get sub, do the thing. There will be videos. And, in fact, there will be live streams too that I'll be doing today and tomorrow at the very least, and probably ongoing as we get new builds. All right. Hey, it's alpha time. There's stuff going on.
I'm excited, man.
There's new shit to talk about.
It's
kind of
fucking
exciting. I hope you enjoyed as much as I'm going to. I'll see you next time.
All right. So apparently, warrior changes. Warrior talent tree has been found. Jay, thanks for the 5 subs, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. There's the video right there. Belluar just put this out. Make sure to go give it a like, give him a sub, all that kind of stuff. And again, Belluar's made videos for a very long time, and I think this is a pretty fair and balanced thing. I think this was kind of measured as well. It's not like, oh my god, this game is going to change my life. It was measured and fair. I think that a lot of the things that he said were true and also real.
Zapraszamy na Lech Polish Hip Hop w Płocku. I żebyśmy nie musieli 2 razy powtarzać.
Piekarnik Whirlpool Absolute z termosondą, która kontroluje temperaturę w 4 różnych punktach potrawy.
Assassin's Creed Infinity is going to be announced sooner than what we have been expecting so far. Ubisoft has finally set up the phase. It seems like they're now getting ready for the upcoming Ubisoft Forward event where we could most likely end up seeing the announcement of Assassin's Creed Infinity. Now before this, Ubisoft has already set a phase by partnering up with PlayStation. Right now, Ubisoft has made almost every single Assassin's Creed that ever exists to be absolutely free for all the PlayStation Plus users, and the collection that you're going to be getting in the PlayStation Plus for all the Assassin's Creed titles. The first one being Assassin's Creed Unity and then Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Jak minął tydzień. Będę mówił głośniej i trochę przyciszyłem. No jak się słucham, to pogłaszam, nie? Jak minął tydzień. For Assassin's Creed, which includes Assassin's Creed 2 Brotherhood as well as the Revelations. But this basically includes almost every single classic Assassin's Creed titles that ever released so far. It seems as though that Ubisoft is already setting the pace. Jakieś ciekawe gierki grałeś?
For the first huge announcement of Assassin's Creed Infinity, which is going to further on take the lead towards the progress of all the upcoming Assassin's Creed games, being one of the first ever live service games that is providing for a single-player campaign game. But the best part of all is that Ubisoft is partnering up with PlayStation, and for all the PlayStation Plus subscription owners, we will now be able to play almost every single Assassin's Creed game that ever exists. And the best part is that all of these games are one of the best classic titles, and there's absolutely nothing short in terms of what these titles have to offer. Because if you haven't gotten the chance to play Assassin's Creed before and you own a PlayStation console and
rankedów nie może grać jeszcze.
and the only games that you've played so far is the new Assassin's Creed titles, which are pretty much RPG style. And I know that since these games are really old, people might not really invest any money into it anymore. But since it's free now, you will now be able to play each and every one of those titles and hype yourself up for the upcoming Assassin's Creed Rift, which is already leaked to be releasing this year, which is probably going to be announced in Ubisoft Connect, which is going to take place in the coming month along with Gamescom. There is a bunch of new information, a bunch of new announcements coming up for the upcoming Assassin's Creed games. I will keep you guys updated related to all the upcoming information on the upcoming Assassin's Creed games right here on my channel. So make sure to go ahead and subscribe to this channel and turn the notifications on. And the most important of all, make sure that you guys are setting your notification settings to all. Because
Jeden level
the ROK's YouTube platform, they just don't send you guys the notifications of my daily videos. So make sure you guys do it. And if you guys want to go ahead and support me as a content creator, that would really help me out a lot. If you guys could just take a few seconds of your time and drop a like on this video. It also keeps me motivated into bringing more content for you guys every single day. So please just show some support. That would absolutely be appreciated. And with that being said, lads, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys.
A, już końcóweczka, to sobie to wyłączę. Czyli w Rainbow Sixa nabijasz. Formułki nie ruszałeś, a jak tam w LOL na telefonie? W LOLu? Nowy sezon? Rangę skasował. Ha. To z tego te gry żyją, kasują rangę. To jest dużo gier, które robisz rangę, później ci kasują. Na sezony dużo gier się robi. Sezon, a później ci kasują rangę. O jedną rankę, czy więcej?
Więcej. A ile trwał sezon? Kurwa 3. Ale po platynie, rozumiem, jest szmarek, tak? Ile teraz już? Teraz będziecie szybciej awansować, bo już ograni jesteście. Z każdym sezonem na pewno szybszy progres. Ja w Apexie tak liczę. Że 100 gier w jednym sezonie, to w następnym 100 gier powinno mi dać większą rangę. Jak se w Apexa będę grał 100 gier na sezon. Ja zobaczę, jak tam ranga moja będzie rosła. Dużo troli, czy czemu? Poceńcie trole i nie ogary. Ile czasu sezon trwa? Okay. Dużo na odzyskanie rangi. A coś dzisiaj wieczorem będziesz pogrywał? W Random Sixa będziesz? Bo pewnie chłopaki wbiją, to od dłuższego czasu pogram z nimi w końcu w LOLka. Może formułę odpalimy, tą 19. Mają ćwiczyć Wielką Brytanię, zobaczymy czy poćwiczyli tą Wielką Brytanię. Nie sprawdzałem, czy ćwiczyli. Nie pobierałem jeszcze. Na spokojnie. Na razie mam kcice nagranie, więc gram w co popadnie. I w międzyczasie włączę te F22. Ja nie wiem, czy to warto na 10 godzin, kurwa. Ja tylko tyle, żeby Ciebie przekonać. Pobiorę. Mam Ci znać, kiedy to zrobię. No jutro, nie wiem czy masz 11 Sports. Masz 11, to jutro Grand Prix Francji. Dzisiaj Legię będziesz oglądał? Za godzinkę zaczynają. Nie oglądasz meczu, okej. Lewego w Barcelonie nie będziesz oglądał? No i pięknie. Pole skończone. To mówię, czy lewego w Barsie będziesz oglądał? Niemieckiej to już bez lewego nie ma co oglądać. Z lewym też nie będziesz oglądał? Taki ty patriota. Marnie trafi. Powiem ci szczerze, częściej prędzej Barcelonę obejrzę niż polską reprezentację. Okej. I uciekasz. No ja też uciekam, bo będę z pół godzinki tej przerwy zrobię. Później może jakiś Fortnite ci z chłopakami w Lola, więc też będę spadał. O, zapraszam, tylko tak przed 20 pewnie. To będę.